Hey guys, welcome back to a new series on the Hittites. So, our story begins in the late 4000s BCE, more specifically between 4400 and 4100 BCE, when the ancestors of the Hittites first migrated to Anatolia. However, these peoples, only being the ancestors of the Hittites, had not yet developed the culture and language that would go on to form the Bronze Age Hittite Empire. It is believed that a Proto-Hittite language evolved around 2100 BCE, which further distinguished the language in the area from its Proto-Anatolian language roots. Then by 2000 BCE, we see the emergence of the Hittite language itself. So we would not be wrong to assume that the Hittites exist from around 2000 BCE. The previous inhabitants of Anatolia were the Hurrians and the Hattians, and these were non-Indo-European peoples. By Indo-European, I am relating an umbrella of individual cultures by a shared language family, and as such, the Hurrians and the Hattians were not speaking a language related to the Hittites. In fact, it has been hypothesized that the term Hittite was actually borrowed from the previous inhabitants of Anatolia. The Hittites then adopted their cuneiform script, which was a type of writing system, from the old Assyrian Empire, and this formed the basis for a flourishing civilization. So, originally, the Hittites were a collective culture based around multiple polities, with each polity being based around a certain number of urban centers and cities. The early history of the Hittite kingdom and its formation is known because we have 4 tablets, which were likely made in Kusara, which was one of the cities in central Anatolia. Kusara would actually become the first capital of the Hittite kingdom, because it was the capital site of the southern dynasty in the region. And actually, in the early days, there was a rivalry between a northern and a southern dynasty in the area. And in the ensuing battle, the southern dynasty came out on top and eventually founded the Hittite kingdom. The unification of the Hittite kingdom is usually attributed to Hattusili I, who conquered and ruled from his city of Hattusa. He almost conquered Aleppo in his early days, but was not quite able to overpower the city. But what he did manage to do was to carve out the Hittite heartland and establish the kingdom on the map. And when he died, he chose his grandson, Mursili I, to rule in his stead. Mursili started where his grandfather had left off. He began by heading a large raid down the Euphrates River, where the Hittites did not attack any Assyrian land, but instead targeted Babylon. The rulers of the old Babylonian Empire were expelled in favor of the allies of the Hittites, the Kassites, who would rule Babylon for the next 400 years. But this early success would be marred by trouble at home. Lengthy campaigning in Mesopotamia had left the capital Hattusa in anarchy, and rebellion and plots were beginning to surface. Mursili was murdered by his brother-in-law Hantili, who then became Hantili I. And as a result of this internal strife, the kingdom was then plunged into a dark age in the 16th century BCE, where the power of the kings was severely limited and the Hittite domain decreased in size massively after the Hurrian conquest of Aleppo and northern Syria. And therefore, the kingdom was experiencing its dark age. But this is not where the story of the Hittites actually ends. So be sure to stay around for part 2, which should be coming in the next week. And I'll see you next time.